I wanted to make a video rounding up my favorite iPad accessories. This video is sponsored by UGREEN. Let's get into it. First up, let's talk iPad stands. Now, my all-time favorite iPad stand now has to be the MagFloat Pro. This is a magnetic iPad stand, and because of that, it's easy to attach and remove your iPad. You can rotate it between portrait and landscape mode, but what separates itself out, especially from other magnetic freestanding iPad stands, is it's height adjustable, and it can get fairly tall. I have this sitting on my monitor stand next to my iPad. I use it in vertical mode. Between all of that and the fact that it's height adjustable, it matches my studio display perfectly. It almost feels like an extension. My only complaint about it is the lack of cable management. I had to put some cable clips on the back to route my Thunderbolt cable through. Other than that, I have zero complaints about it. Next up, we have to talk about keyboards. And as you can see, I have opinions about keyboards. But I specifically want to talk about keyboards that attach to your iPad and allow you to use them in like this portable mode, not desktop keyboards. Nothing beats the Apple Magic Keyboard. I've tried them all. You can link to whatever ones you want in the comments. I guarantee you I've tried it. Especially when you consider the trackpad. There are no third-party keyboard trackpad combos that have the accuracy or the quality of Apple's trackpads. There's some secret sauce Apple has with their trackpads that nobody has been able to replicate. With a lot of other third-party keyboards, you either get a battery built into them, which adds weight and something else you need to charge, or the key switches themselves just don't feel satisfying. I tried a lot of them that just had these mushy keys and I just can't stand that. Yes, I'm picky when it comes to keyboards, but for good reason. I type a lot. Now, the Magic Keyboard, I'm not going to beat around the bush. It is incredibly pricey, but it works. Plus, it gives you an extra USB-C port so you can charge. I'm actually doing that right now. And that leaves the USB-C port or Thunderbolt port on the iPad open for data transfers or any other accessories you might want to plug in. Now, what makes the Magic Keyboard really intriguing is the fact that there are accessories made for it. One of my favorite accessories made for the Magic Keyboard is the OriGrid. This is a backpack for the Magic Keyboard. It's broken up into a few different sections. First, there is a grid so you can put in cables, hard drives, whatever. Second is a pocket section, great for charging bricks, and the other pocket's the perfect size for an AirPods Pro case. If you don't want to carry around like a backpack or a bag or something with all of your tech gear in it, like you're just carrying a few things, why not put the backpack on your iPad and just carry the iPad then? Now, ever since the first season of Westworld came out, my mind has been thinking about a folding iPad or an iPhone that folds out into an iPad. I love that idea. My friend Federico Vitici over at Maxtoys found this company called Rolling Square, and they make these magnetic mounts for different laptops and devices and stuff like that, so you can mount a phone or a tablet to your laptop screen. So I took two of their Edge Pro mounts, you can see them right there, and used them to mount an iPad mini to the side of my iPad Pro. And yes, this may be the most ridiculous thing I have ever done with an iPad. You can also just use one of these mounts and just mount your phone if you'd rather have that. But I really wanted to have two iPads at the same time. I'm really digging this. I just absolutely love this. Having a second screen off to the side has been really helpful. I've put my task manager up there for when I have like a lot of admin tasks, or when I'm editing in Final Cut, I will have my Final Cut preset document that I talked about in the creatives video. I could have music or podcasts up there playing, or I could have like a PDF contract while I'm going through, the specific points and stuff like that. I've just found it to be really useful when working in like kind of the tablet mode with the Magic Keyboard. The magnets are really strong, so I'm not worried about the iPad mini falling off. In fact, the magnets might be too strong. It can get difficult to take off. Overall, it works really well. This allows me to have a text document or my notes off to the side. And I've even actually had like a FaceTime meeting on the iPad mini and kept working on my iPad Pro, which was really cool. The thing that would make this absolutely killer is if Apple would bring universal control to multiple iPads, so that way I could just move the cursor and the keyboard and stuff over to the iPad mini. Because right now there is no universal control. So if I'm going to do something on the iPad mini, I have to tap on the display. Now, the one issue between this and the OriGrid is you can't use them together. Because of the way the OriGrid slides onto the Magic Keyboard, there's really no room for those magnets. Luckily, I have two Magic Keyboards, so I can demo them just fine and I can use them separately, but that is not a serious answer to the problem. I fully recognize that. This video is sponsored by UGREEN. This is the UGREEN Nexode Pro 65 watt mini charger. This is a GAN charger that provides 65 watts of charging power. You can charge a MacBook Air M2 from 0 to 51% in only 30 minutes. This uses AirPry technology combined with GAN Infinity, meaning you get a much smaller charger, but it will charge multiple devices at the same time. It will fit right in the palm of your hand. In fact, it can charge up to 3 devices at once. It has 2 USB-C ports and a USB-A port. UGREEN has a whole line of Nexode chargers, so if you need something that fits better plugged into the wall or has even more power, they have you covered. UGREEN also has USB hubs as well. This is the UGREEN Revo Dock 210. This is a USB-C dock that will work with your Mac or iPad. This has 2 USB-C ports, 4 USB-A ports, micro SD and standard SD card reader, headphone jack, Ethernet port, and 2 HDMI and a display port. The Revo Dock 210 can be used with up to 2 displays at 4K 60Hz or a single display at 8K at 30Hz. You can also transfer files, movies, and photos at up to 5 gigabits per second, and it has 100 watt power delivery. This is a great way to add a bunch of extra ports to your iPad. UGREEN has a bunch of great accessories. I'm going to link to everything I mentioned in the description below, so go check it out. My thanks to UGREEN for sponsoring this video. Next up is the Gurmok capture card. There are a ton of different capture cards that'll work with the iPad, but this one is solid and it's only 20 bucks. Now, I even bought the fancy Elgato one when capture card support was originally announced for the iPad, and it's a flip of a coin if it will actually work with the iPad. I have no idea why, but it's literally a 50-50 shot if it's gonna work. With this capture card, I can plug in game consoles and use the micro LED display on my 12.9-inch iPad Pro as a game monitor. And if I'm using the app Orion, it will even upscale that content to 4K if it's not already, which is great for Switch games. I've also used the capture card to plug in my camera to my iPad and had video calls that way, so I can have a nice high-end camera as the video call device. That way I can use my fancy camera and have nice blurry backgrounds, natural bokeh and all that stuff as my video call device. There's a lot you can do with capture cards and the iPad, and the fact it's only 20 bucks is a pretty good deal. This next one is a big finally for me. I was finally able to figure out how to podcast from my iPad without having to spend $1,000 on complex audio gear. Now, the issue with podcasting from your iPad is you need to be able to have a call with the people that are on the podcast with, but you also need to be able to record your local audio track. And the iPad only allows one audio stream at a time. So if you're listening to music and then you start playing a video on YouTube, it's gonna pause the music. This is where the Zoom PodTrack P4 comes in. This is an audio interface that plugs into your iPad via USB-C, but also records locally to an SD card. This way, the audio from my mic is being passed to the call and I can hear the people on the call coming back. Then my local audio track is being recorded to the SD card. Afterwards, I just pop out the SD card and move it into files and send it to whoever. Podcasting was one of the reasons I had to keep a Mac around for a while, but now that I finally figured this off, that is really exciting. It would just be better if Apple would just allow multiple streams of audio going through the iPad. That would be my preferred method, but this does the trick for now. Next up is the OWC Thunderbolt dock. Now that the iPad Pro has Thunderbolt, there's a lot you can do with that port. This dock breaks that one Thunderbolt port up into multiple ports. Great for desk setups. This has 3 extra Thunderbolt ports for other devices, 3 USB-A 3.0 ports, an Ethernet port, SD card reader, a USB 2.0 port for things like keyboards, headphone jack, and it supports 90 watts of power delivery. Way more than what the iPad needs, but it'll scale down for you. If you need extra ports, this is a great place to look. Now, another Thunderbolt accessory I have that I love is the OWC Envoy Pro FX. This is a Thunderbolt external drive and it is extremely fast at 2800 megabits per second. Now, I will never, ever actively work on a project from an external drive. I got a long story about that. Don't have time for it, but I will never do it. But what I do use this for is backing up project files, especially when I'm out of the house. If I'm, at an Apple conference or a tech event or a photography trip or whatever, I'll put all my files on my iPad, but then make a second copy and put them on the hard drive and leave the hard drive in the hotel room if I bring my iPad with me or something like that. Next up is the Anker 737 battery pack. This is a 2400 milliamp battery pack that has two USB-C ports and a USB-A port. This is a staple in my travel bag. You can never be guaranteed you will have a power outlet around when you need it, so come prepared. I use this not just to top off my iPad, but my phone and even my Nintendo Switch as well. This even has a little screen to show you how much power is left, how much power is being delivered to devices that are plugged in, and how much time is left until the battery pack is fully charged. Next up, I want to talk about the bag you carry your iPad and tech gear in. Typically, I use a camera bag because of my work, but I wanted to try and find something that was a bit more general. Waterfield is one of my favorite companies that makes bags. They recently came out with their Tech Folio backpack. They were kind enough to send it over for me to check out and review. What I like about this is it uses space in a very clever way. It has two main pockets. The first has both a laptop and tablet holder with a Velcro strap going over it so nothing, slides out. It has a really deep section in the front so you can stuff things in there quickly. We all say we don't do it, but we absolutely do. And there are two pockets to put things in like headphones and chargers when you need to get to them quickly. One thing that is different, and I can't decide if I like it or not, is the water bottle holder is actually inside the bag. So make sure that lid is on tight. The front pocket has a bunch of zipper pockets so you can organize your gear without things falling out or getting mixed up. It also has a top sleeve with a key hook. This is really nice for stuff you need to get to quickly, maybe like your AirPods or something like that. The zipper themselves even go all the way down so you can open the bag completely flat. There's also a third, kind of a smaller pocket on the front that you can put things that you need to get to quickly. It uses a magnet to keep itself closed, which is really nice. So you can just pop it open quickly, grab whatever you need, gum, snack, whatever. There's also kind of a luggage sleeve as well. Overall, this is a great daily carry backpack for an iPad, and it looks really nice. You have a ton of space, but the bag itself isn't overly huge. You just have a lot of space to organize things, so you don't need like one of those tech pouches or something like that. Recently, a bunch of new App Store rule changes happened because of new EU regulations. But one of those rules that is going to apply to everyone around the world is the fact that game streaming apps are going to be allowed on the App Store. This means stuff like Xbox Game Pass or the GeForce Now app could be on the iPad natively. I'm really excited to see what these services do. Because of this, game controllers are going to become an even better accessory to have with your iPad. Now, my personal favorite controller is the Xbox Elite 2 controller. Now, I have seen some stuff on the internet about build quality issues, but I've had mine for about a year now, and I haven't had any issues. I use it all the time. Like, my Xbox Series X is kind of my go-to place where I play games, and that's the controller I use. Now, what I like about this one compared to the regular Xbox controller is it has some weight. It feels good in the hand. It also doesn't have that horrible hollow sound when hitting buttons on the regular controller has. I swear, building mechanical keyboards has absolutely just ruined me. I can't put up with things that feel bad or sound terrible. This controller is also adjustable, so you can adjust the thumbsticks, you can adjust the triggers, and all sorts of different things. But both the regular controller and the PlayStation controllers will work with the iPad as well, so it's kind of a preference thing. We can't talk about iPad accessories without talking about the Apple Pencil. There is no other stylus that can match it. Between the feature set and the low latency, it's the best. But of course, there are a few accessories you can use with it. Now, personally, I really like the Paperlike screen protector. Now, Paperlike is a reoccurring sponsor of my channel. Just Full disclosure, but I like their stuff. The easy way to know how a YouTuber really likes something that they're sponsored with is, do they use it? And on both of my iPads, you can see a paper-like screen protector. Now, what I like about this is it gives you a nice feel when you're using the Apple Pencil. It feels more like pencil and paper or pen and paper instead of that plastic on glass feeling. But the reason why I personally use it is it cuts down on light reflection because it is a matte screen protector. So I have these big lights in my office. It cuts down on the reflection when I'm filming on it, or if I'm working outside, sunlight beating down, it's a lot easier to see the screen. They recently updated the Paperlike to a version 2.1 is what they're calling it. And the focus of this update is around screen quality and not just cutting down on the sharpness or the saturation of the screen. I would love to hear from you all. What is your absolute all-time favorite iPad accessories? Let me know in the comments below. My thanks to UGREEN for sponsoring this video. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great day.